And there it is, planet Earth. Here we are. Here I am. Here all of us are. And wham, we are on. Good morning, everybody. Is everybody happy? Okay. Let me see if I can get me back here. There we are. I am here. Learning here. Everybody's learning, and we have got a wonderful show prepared for you this morning. Believe it or not, we actually prepared the show. Sandy and I did. Good morning, Sandy Lou. How are you? Got to unmute there.
I'm unmuted now, so I'm doing well. ... So yes, great.
That's right. Sandy's a little on edge, and so I've riled her up this morning. She riled herself up, and it has absolutely nothing to do with John Craig sticking his finger in a weed eater or anything.
No, it has nothing to do with any of that. No.
She is doing what she's got to do to stay focused on the show right now, and she's going to do a very good job. But I told her, whatever it is that's rising up in her, then use that for the show. So Sandy, here's what we're going to do. First of all, whatever that is that's bugging you, let's just make it a Kraken. All right. So now we have a Kraken on your ship of life, and so release that Kraken, and then release the Holy Spirit to come and take that Kraken away.
All right. I'm visualizing.
You're visualizing.
It's not working.
It's not working. Oh, I see. We need to slam the Kraken down.
That's more helpful.
There we go. Here we are on the ship of... Oh, look, I've got my camera just right, so it actually looks like the ship is in the waves there. So, once again, good morning, everybody.
You're in the waves, Mark.
And I can tell you that we are not on the Lamb Radio website. We are not broadcasting through there because all but a couple of our live shows have now gone over here, over there. We are on, I hope that's not copyrighted or I might get dinged for that. But we are now over on Lamb Tube on the Lamb Radio YouTube website. We had somebody that showed me how to broadcast live videos through there, and it changed the course of everything we're doing. Now changed it 182 degrees. We're just over on the other side. And so we are broadcasting everything over here. And I mean, probably most of you already know that, but you can still hear music in our pre-recorded shows over there. And as of today, I'm starting to acclimate some of our other shows that have not been live in the past are now going to also go video. We've only got a couple of our shows that were pre-recorded and loaded in so you could hear their teachings. There's only a couple that are not coming over to Lamb Radio, and for their reasons, nothing negative, just for their reasons. And so pretty soon, by the 1st of January, we should be completely acclimated over here, and also working on some music to get in there too. So we're enjoying what we're doing and how we're doing it, and things are becoming very, very smooth in what we're doing. So we love it.
We're growing.
We're growing.
Yes, that's the word.
Oh, that's today's key word, is growing.
Yes.
It's a good word.
It's a word. Who was that? Somebody come in and hijack. Are they bringing a Kraken in here? They better leave their Krakens out of here. That's for sure. Good morning, Bryan Barnes. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Yeah, no Krakens, but we've got some sheep and some bulls and some chickens I could bring on. But no Krakens. Doing really good. How are y'all?
We're blessed of the Lord big time, aren't we, Sandy?
Yes, we are.
We're learning how to do these new things, and it's fun. This is a fun learning. There are things that are not so fun. So, Bryan, real quickly, kind of tell us about the ministry that. Was that your Kraken there, Sandy? Your Kraken? It was okay. So real quickly, just as we're getting going, we're going to interview Bryan here pretty soon, but not right now. And but Bryan, you are a part of a ministry in California. Give us a brief background on that, or a brief understanding of what Growing in Torah is.
Yeah, well, Growing in Torah is part of an overall ministry. We do a lot of different things. The ministry itself is called Safe Haven Sustainable Farms. And so if you look us up on because we're a 501c3 and all of that, but if you look us up on the internet, that's Safe Haven Sustainable Farms, shfarms.org. That shows you all the ministries we do. Growing in Torah is one of those. So we also do Messiah West Coast, which is a youth camp for younger kids. We do all the feasts and festivals here on the farm, and all kinds of things that we do. But Growing in Torah is kind of one of our, I guess you would say, flagship ministries that keeps us very busy. But it's directed at college-age young men and women. Teaching them for 7 months. They live here on the farm. It's a little bit like going to college. And we train them in organic farming. We train them in just all kinds of different things, from business planning, just building good habits, some really foundational things in their lives prior to them going to college or into their careers, or, should they choose farming as a career, things like that too. So, and it's really also mainly a time for them to focus on their relationship with their Creator. And we base a lot of things that we do here around Romans 1:20, which says that God's divine nature and his eternal power can be understood through the things that he has created. And so very simply, God put man in a garden when he started things out. Like ding, 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 maybe a good clue here that maybe we should also start out in a garden before we head out into the world, taking that gospel out into the world right from the garden. So that, in a nutshell, is what we do. And of course, there's lots of other things to go along with that. But
wow, so really, we're talking young adults here that have pretty much, they're out of their regular schooling, and now they're spending this time as a beginning venture in life, as they're developing where they're going to go in life. And a lot of the things that they probably learn here will help them to decide more of a future for their own lives. That's what I would assume. Is that what happens quite a bit there, Bryan? I think I'm losing Bryan. We had a little bit of problem.
Yeah, and now you hear me?
There he
Yeah.
is. There he is.
Yes.
Yeah, my internet might be this morning, but yes, absolutely. That is what we're doing. A lot of young people, they're in that time where they've graduated from high school, and there's usually two questions that always come up is, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And who am I going to marry? Who am I going to spend it with? And those are like super important questions. And of course, the answer to both of those questions lies directly with the creator of the universe. That is where those answers come from. And being on the farm, I don't, and I say this all the time. If somebody's interested in being an engineer, how important, what kind of a leg up will you have if you understand how the creator engineers things? Go out and look at a grapevine and see how the creator of the universe creates and how he engineered it. That's going to give you a huge head start in when you move into your college, or if it's a regular career. I think a lot of times, how successful Israel is, right? With all their technology and all these things. Why is that? They've had, even though they've moved away from it in a lot of areas, they've been brought up with Torah, and there's certain principles that they've been brought up with. And I believe the garden, looking at the creator and how he does things, is such an important thing about finding who you are personally, finding out what you like to do, and actually finding out the kind of person that you want to spend your life with in a mate. So it answers those questions very, very directly.
So do you get some of these young people that come in and they say, I want to find myself? Is that something you hear quite often? Is I need to find myself? Bryan is gonna go in and out, I think, here. Go ahead, brother. We got you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, my internet keeps cutting out.
One of those things we deal with. It all works out, brother. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Say it again. What was your question?
Well, the question is I would assume that you have some that come in there and say, I need to find myself. Do you hear that often?
Yeah, I mean, of course, not necessarily in so many words, and I'm not against that necessarily either. These young people do need to find themselves, if you will, and to be very, very honest, most people that come, I would say 99%. Well, I would say 100% because it still happens to me. Even if they think they know who they are, when put in a position of that you're not used to, you find more things out about yourself than you would have ever imagined. So it's a good question, actually, to ask, and really ask, Yahweh, who do you say that I am? What is your opinion about me? And who am I? And we spent a lot of time on that, actually, just focusing on what does the creator, how does he feel about me? What does he say about who I am?
I love that. I think that really sort of answers the question, is why, if you're already knowledgeable in Torah, should you go to GIT? Because you just answered it right there. There's so much more. We can always learn and grow. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that of why?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so much more to life than our career, right? I mean, our career is one part of something.
We'll get him back.
That we do, and
yeah,
and these things like that. We want generation. They're good. Am I back on?
Yeah, there you are. You're good.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, we're trying to raise up a generation whose lives revolve around their Creator and not their career. A lot of times we get a little bit backwards there, where our lives are revolving around our career. And that's how we take the gospel out. Our careers and what we decide to do is how we to do it. And at least that's, in my opinion, that's the way it should be, not the other way around. And so that's another reason, even somebody who is really grounded in Torah and, at the top of their game, maybe they're already a fantastic young person. This Growing in Torah is really a leadership program to teach these young people to take it to the next level, to really to be sold out 100% for Yahweh and have that their life focus. That's how we're going to change things. And Yeshua came. As soon as he came, if you read the first few chapters of Matthew, he came and he was going around preaching the kingdom of God is come, and he was teaching the gospel. And that's what we want our young people to do. And that's how we're going to change the world, to be honest. I know that sounds kind of highfalutin, but that's how we're going to do it.
Amen. How do you deal with ones that would come in and say, well, I already know what I want to do, and I'm here, but no, I'm here, but I don't want to be here, or my parent, is it a possibility that parents make their kids go, or does that just not a part of the criteria? They got to really want to be there and want to change? Or do you get kids that come in there and are very assured of themselves and not real sure this is going to do them any good or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. First of all, it's hard. Going through the program is not a cakewalk. You will be stretched. So it's difficult, and so we don't let people come who, as much as we can, who don't want to be here. We want them to come now. And so we have an interview process and different things like that. We try to, kind of figure that out, because it is hard. There's certain things here on the farm. It's not just like walking through the garden every day and singing Kumbaya and, it's hard work. Which is also, some young men and women already have learned a good work ethic. Some have not been given the opportunity yet. And so we put them, if you've already learned that, that's fine. You're going to learn things in other areas. If you have not learned that yet, you will by the time you finish up here. But so, we want the parents.
And here he comes.
To be on board.
Right, we're losing you a little bit. We're losing you.
Birthday here. I don't want to sound like because it's did.
Well, around the time you said we want the parents to be on board.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I heard you say was biblical instruction in farming. Explain that if you can.
Well, that could go. We could talk about just that all day. Because there's so many things, but biblical instruction in farming. Let's just go right back to the garden then, to the two trees in the garden, right? There's the tree of life, and there's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. very, very simply, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Well, we like good, but we don't so much like evil, right? So it's a mixed tree. It's got a mixture there of good and evil, and we're told to stay away from that completely. So how do we bring that into farming? Well, what does a tree produce? It produces fruit, which has the seed in it, which you go and you plant that and you get that back. So we don't want to use mixed seed. We want to use pure seed. We just want to use the seed from the tree of life. So, for instance, our farming techniques, while we're organic and things like that, we go above and beyond that. We don't even plant hybrids that we have, men have kind of forced together. I mean, a lot of seeds naturally uh, will cross breeds, find the way in you come from mixed by man.
Okay, Bryan, are you back?
Yeah, I'm sorry, boy. I don't know if it's my end or what.
Yeah, it's going in and out quite a bit. We're good. Sandy and I are good here. Okay, so let's see. Sandy, I think you have a question.
Yeah, I'm going to say, because you've been talking about some of the skills and things, but I want to jump to why, well, and even you sort of touched on this today, but why is farming so important in today's society? Because it's been how has it changed? And do we need to go back? I know this is 3 questions. And do we need to go back to the way it was, as you said, in the garden? But why is farming so important in today's society in general?
That's actually a really important question. It's easy to go through life and you just go to the grocery store and we pick up our stuff and we come home and we cook and everything's fine and dandy. And so it doesn't appear that things have changed at all. But there's some statistics out there which are kind of frightening, to be honest. Back in the early 1800s, 70% of the U.S. population were farmers. In the late 1800s, it went down to about 50% of the U.S. population were farmers. Today, this is crazy. Today, it's less than 2% of the population are farmers. Now, at the same time, the world population, is increasing dramatically. So that, what did they say, is like by 2050, which is not that far away, really, by 2050, we will need an additional 70% more production so what are we going to do? And even as a Messianic community, what does that tell you? That things are moving toward government dependency. So we need to prepare a generation that knows how to farm. And again, I personally think this goes back to Yahweh's plan of being coming from where we need those type of there. Hello, did I lose you guys?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. Did you hear that? Did you hear what I said?
All but that last little part.
The last little. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, that's another reason where you go back to the garden. That's where things come from. That's the approach that we need to take. That's the approach that the Creator took, is things came out of the garden. Isn't it interesting that out of the garden, it broke into 4 rivers? Rivers have been the transportation system for the world forever. And, it's my contention that the gospel, that tree of life, was supposed to be going to the 4 corners of the world. And that's what Adam's job was.
Wow.
And it comes right from the garden.
That's real interesting. It's just, especially you're talking about how few farmers there is, but yet, I mean, I grew up in Kansas, and I can remember taking a trip straight up through I-35, goes straight up through the middle of Kansas, and I and another guy are going together. We're going someplace, and we go miles and miles and miles, and he's driving, and I'm looking out the side and thinking, and after a few miles, I say, didn't we just pass that farm? Because it was one after, they all look exactly the same, but you have farm after farm. I grew up in a place where it's farm after farm after farm, but yet you're saying that 2% is of our population are actually farming, yet there is so much land out there to farm. And I know I've heard this in the past, and we have to take everything with a grain of salt. Is the government causing this to happen, in your opinion? Sandy, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say really quick in response to what you're saying as well, is that I grew up in the panhandle of Texas, which is, when I was growing up, it was field after field, but you don't see that anymore. You see the fields are fallow. You see them laying out or not being used because the government actually pays you to not grow your crop. I know somebody.
That's what I'm wondering. It's what I've heard. It just seems unreal to even say that.
It does. And my question, and on top of that, because I know somebody that very closely that works and gives these multi-million-dollar loans to farmers, and then also, unfortunately, is in the business of putting the farmers under. And there's more to the latter. But how has that been so detrimental to the farming community? The government getting in the midst of it. We don't see field after field. I live in the breadbasket part of the state of Texas, and I don't see field after field anymore. And where I once saw a variety of crops, I see corn and cotton and wheat. And corn really shouldn't even be grown here because it doesn't have the adequate rainfall. It should be grown up north. But how has the government's intervention really gotten in the way, and how are you trying to restore that?
Well, part of everything you guys said, I think is pretty much correct. I mean, the government is paying people not to grow crops, or paying for certain, things, or all kinds of programs. But what's really happening is we're getting these mega farms. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres. So yeah, you can be driving by. My kids live in Iowa, and we were just out somewhere, and a guy drove up in a truck, and big, massive tractor that he's dealing with, and we were talking about some other stuff, but I think they farmed 7,000 acres. I can't remember if that was accurate or not. It was at least 7,000 acres. So that's one guy now taking the job of what hundreds would be doing previously, right? So that's one reason. So what happens though, then, if that guy decides to quit farming? Well, now we've lost 7,000 acres worth of production, right? And so, you know, how do you get back to it? How do you reverse that? Well, go back to
Losing him again. He'll come back here in a second.
small farms.
Oh yeah, small farms. Absolutely.
Go back to you mean right knowing what's nothing. And I do and Mark, do you want me to jump off and try a different internet connection?
Yeah, if you think that'll help, that'll be good. Sure.
We can try it. I can use the hotspot on my phone. Maybe that'll give us a little bit better.
Okay.
Internet.
That would surprise me, but hey, stranger things have happened. So I'll call you back in a minute, or I think you should just be able to click on your link and get back in.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, we'll see if this works here.
Okay.
But
When he's talking about the small farmer, I think that's so important to return to that, but I don't even know how you do it today. How do you survive as a small farmer in the midst of this atmosphere? You know, because it costs so much. And then you look at the small farmers are not paid out of, I mean, you don't get what your crop is worth. And you have these big companies that make millions, and the farmer makes this tiny, tiny little portion that's diminished. And so, you know, farming, if we could all go back to that, that is amazing. But we don't, you know, there's not even skills today. So, and that's what Bryan's doing. That's what Growing in Torah is doing, is restoring all of that.
Yeah, very true. Okay, looks like we got video here, so.
okay, can you guys hear me?
We can. I missed the part on small farms is a good idea. Sandy,
Yeah,
well, but we kind of missed what you had to say on that.
Yeah, I think this is not going to be any better.
Okay.
So,
well, we're doing, for the most part, I would say 80% of what we're getting from you is really good, don't you, Sandy? I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting the most of it. It's just when you go out, Sandy and I twiddle our thumbs a little bit. So we're good. Go ahead, brother, if you're there. Speaking of that. Okay. Well, this is so interesting to me. I mean, it's just not something that is discussed very much, to tell you the truth. You know, Sandy, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's nice to get somebody in here that's actually training up new farmers. When Bryan comes back, I think one of my questions is going to be how many of them that come through actually go into farming when they.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because I mean, that's what they come to learn, but they're also studying Torah. They have several people like Brad Scott and several other, you know, really great teachers that are helping out with all of this, but yet, and they're learning not only the Torah, of which most of them already are probably well versed in, but they're also learning farming, and so. I lived, if you can imagine a block, and I lived, here's the town, and I lived right here at the end of a block where from here on out is nothing but fields and farming.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you walk 2 2 houses to the street, and on the other side of the street is a farm, and farms from there on out. But you go the other direction, and it's nothing but town or city, streets and stuff.
I grew up, and there were fields in front, and there were fields behind me, and I loved it. And because I am very close to somebody, where I even grew up going out and changing the pipe for the well engines. I did that kind of stuff, or repairing the well engines that got the water to the ground here in the state of Texas. So everybody was farmers where I grew up and when I grew up.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Looks like we got Bryan back. I'm hoping. It looks almost like a still picture there. So at least we have his picture. Yeah, I literally just don't know enough about it. I mean, hearing what I hear, like what you were talking about, of the government paying people to not actually farm, is just, I know there's a reason behind it, and we need to pray for our government. We got to understand that they know what they're doing, but, oh, no. What? It's our government. Sandy,
when the government's in the way, nothing works. I disagree.
We just voted, so I mean, we gotta know that our government knows what they're doing, right?
Of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Bryan, are you with us? His picture is a little different, so he's moved.
Oh, kind of. Did I?
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much we're going to be. I don't know that it's a little worse than it was. I'm sorry, everybody. We're trying real hard, and of course, this is internet, and whether or not we were doing just audio or just video like what we're doing.
Yeah.
There he is. Go ahead. We got you.
Yeah, it's just having a very difficult time.
Okay. Is there a better time of day?
It's having a very difficult time today.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we just might have to go to a different location or something.
Okay. We'll pick this up. Why don't we go ahead and not put our listeners, viewers through this anymore, and we'll try it again. I would like to even maybe try it sometime when we could get Brad Scott, who's a part of this too. Well, we've lost Bryan completely now. Brad is on the board of Growing in Torah, and he's been quite busy lately. I got a hold of him the other day, and it was a worse connection problem than what we're even having with Bryan right now. But maybe we can get that together sometime and do an off live interview with both of them when they can be in a better place with a better connection.
Yes.
And we'll try maybe doing that, and I'll try to get that going. Nice little logo he has there, though.
It is nice.
Okay, where are we at? It's 10:26 by my clock, so it's 9:26 your time, somewhere around in there. So we still got a half hour to fill in, and we can release some more Kraken if we need to. No, but you can't see because of where my camera's at. You can't see.
I can see. Oh, I can't see that. Now I can.
There's actually a tugboat, right next to the big ship there. And so you can't really see it. I've got to figure out a way. But my ship is actually on a stand. So when it's sitting where it's sitting, it kind of almost looks as though it's in the water. See,
It does. It's the perfect height.
it's perfect time right there. All right, Sandy. Okay, so that one's done. We'll pick him up later. Sorry, everybody, for the internet problems, but you're watching this on the internet, and let me tell you what, if you've never had an internet problem, then I think you need to just get right with God is what you need to do. Because I don't think you're telling me the truth. So Bryan keeps trying to come back, but that's okay. We're good. Okay, so Sandy, I think this is very cool. You came up with, and let me see if I can get over there real quick. You came up with the top, what was it? The top 232?
No.
What? Oh, the top
No.
73 something. I don't know what the. Okay, Bryan's asking me if he wants me to keep going. I'm just going to tell him no. Catch you later, alligator. Catch you later. Let's see, we can do that for now. Catch you later, alligator.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Gee, what's going through Sandy's head right now is what I have to put up with.
No, you're the life of the show.
Life of the show.
Yeah, you are.
No. That's not it. Without you, I got nothing going on. So, I can't do a show by myself.
You know what we should do? We should be like, what is? Oh, John laughs at that show. Now I just went blank on what it's called. Where those 4 people are on and they do goofy things the whole time, like the music. I need to remember the name of the show. Whose line is it?
Oh, whose line is it anyway? Oh, yeah. Great show.
Yeah, John.
They got a little raunchy as they went on, but some of their stuff's real good. They just got a little bit too raunchy. We stopped watching it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I haven't seen it. I don't know, but I remember that John and Jonathan used to laugh and laugh and laugh. And I've actually tried to implement some of those games to the youth. Make it youth friendly, and it's fun. So
the improv of just giving a scenario out there and letting people act that out. You want to see the most classic show that's ever been recorded in video was when Robin Williams was a guest on that show.
Oh. Wow.
Forget it. I mean, you had, there was absolutely no control on
that. After you. Well, if you brought Robin Williams on, did you really think you were going to have your control of your show after that?
Sure. They've had other people on as guests that were just absolutely amazing. I saw Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, and Whoopi Goldberg they used to do comedy relief programs, live programs. I mean, we're talking 20-some years ago. Out in California, they would do this and raise money for certain causes. Of course, all 3 of them are about as liberal as you can get, but you want to talk about something that you can see live. The 3 of them were, I remember the second any one of them walked on the stage until it was over with, you were literally in tears, almost had a headache from laughing solid from the second they opened their mouth. And yeah, I remember those days real big time. Okay, so I found your top 160 of You're Grown Up When. There's about 160 of them, I think. Yeah. Oh,
well, I don't have it.
There's 16 of them. Sorry.
Well, I didn't even know. I told you could choose the ones you liked.
They're all good. I'm sure they're all fine.
Well, I got to pull that list because I don't have it.
Oh, you want me to send it back to you?
Well, I don't like I said, when we're doing the show, I try to keep everything off the internet so I'm smooth, so I can stay at my house. Since I can't do it when John and I are on, I like to stay at my house when I'm on. So by myself. But I think let me look and see.
Well, I mean, if you want to, I can read them off and then we can talk about it if you don't have them up. And
sure. Well, I have a longer list actually, and I had to weed it down because it wasn't friendly. So, and I don't remember which ones. I mean, I can look and guess which ones I weeded out. But why don't you go for some and we'll see.
Oh, I'm just going to start at number 16. You know you've grown up when, and number 16 is 90% of the time you spend in front of a computer is for real work. Was this a slam on me or so? Did my wife ask you to put that on there for me or what?
I wasn't actually even thinking of you. I was thinking, do people actually spend 90% of their time on real work? I do. Yeah, I spend 99.9% of my time on the computer for real work. But I think about generations and they don't. So, you've grown up when your computer is a work tool, right?
Well, kind of. I mean, I see it. I really don't know that much about most everybody else. I mean, I know what my wife and I do on the computer, and I know a few people in ministry that spend a lot of their time on the computer doing stuff. But outside of that, I really don't know. I know there are people that make their living on the computer, and when you see office videos or pictures of people in an office, they're on their computer. But I don't know what that has to do with being grown up. I think it's just a statement.
Well, here it is. It's not saying you spend 90% of your time on the computer. It's saying the time that you do spend on your computer, you're working.
I get it. Okay.
It's like when I worked for the Department of Human Services here in the state of Texas, my whole job was on the computer.
Right. So. Right. Well, I will tell you now, with Lamb Radio and with Lamb Tube and everything that I do, I am in constant working on different things. My brain is always thinking of the next thing. We're sitting in there this morning, lining out a new way to do the war room, and Adina is producing it now in a different way, and I'm sitting there thinking of these other things we can do to make this better and do what we do, and it's just, that's it. So here's the deal. I'll take that to the next step. It may be not even the 90% that I'm in front of the computer. Even when I'm away from a computer, up here is on the computer.
You are the computer.
No, my brain is manipulating things on the computer, and it's not even, I can't wait until they come out with the computer where I can just make my brain do it.
Or your eyes flicker and it does it.
I don't think that's a good statement.
Hey, well, back on, the movie Hidden Figures, they called those girls, those ladies, the computers. They were the computers.
I don't know that. Oh, Hidden Figures. Oh, it's the black women that actually were a part of the NASA program.
Yeah, excellent show, but they were called the computers.
They called them computers?
Yes.
That was, by the way, excellent movie, by the way.
Yes.
You need to see that. That's awesome. That is a point of history that we know not of. Then there was another movie that came out not long after that about a set of women that actually went through the astronaut program, because there was one guy that was putting people through. When they first started the program, and they had all these guys and they had to go through these tests to see if you were astronaut material. They actually put women through, and the women did better than the men, but they didn't send any women up.
What was the name of that show? I remember watching that now.
I don't remember either. Can't remember the name of it, but find
But
it.
I didn't know about that.
And there's also a documentary. You can find a documentary, I think, on Netflix about the same thing. And they made a movie about it, but there's a documentary that follows right along with the movie. It's absolutely incredible. So anyway.
Now my mind is trying to figure out what the name of that show is because I want to watch it again.
Well, you know that's
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Number 15, you actually eat breakfast food at breakfast time. Define breakfast food.
That's the question, because
Apple Jacks.
no, that's not food.
Speaking of Apple Jacks.
Okay, what about Applejack?
Movie we just saw, highly, extremely, to the top recommended. Mr. Church.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. It was out in the theaters. It's the last movie that Eddie Murphy did, and over the top.
The Church.
It is Mr. Church. It's on. If you have, I think it's maybe on Amazon Prime. I think it's Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, or you can look it up. Just look up Mr. Church, and you'll find Eddie Murphy. Listen, Eddie Murphy has the ability to be this incredible actor. And I mean, he did. Here's a little trivia for you. Might throw into John's trivia stuff. Is Eddie Murphy was the first person ever to get $1 million for his very first movie.
Really?
That's
wow.
Right. Very first person ever to receive $1 million for his first movie ever. And I'm trying to think of what it is. It's one where at the very beginning he sings, I can't remember what the name of the movie is now, but whatever it is. But Eddie Murphy he did some good movies, and then he went into total crap. And then he did this one, and I think it's the last movie he's done to this point. Look it up, Mr. Church. Highly recommend. If there's one bad word in it, there's one bad word in it. I think. Other than that, I highly recommend it. Great movie. Slice of life. Based on, at the beginning, it didn't say based on a true story. It says based on a true friendship. So it's kind of a true story, but probably it's a book that was written by this girl, and they made a movie of it. Mr. Church. Highly recommend. Now, and so, the Apple Jacks is in the movie, so you'll have to watch the movie to see what I mean.
I was trying to figure out the connection.
I where my brain goes.
Applejack.
Yeah, is Applejack's breakfast food?
I would say no, but I sure liked it when I was little.
Me
didn't
too.
get it very often, but when I was, once in a while, we'd go to a friend's house and they'd have it, and I'd be like, sugar.
Well, that's what Mr. Church asked the mom in this movie is Applejack. Never heard of it. She says, apples and sugar. Apples and sugar. That's what it was. Okay, number 14. So did we ever define breakfast food? I mean, because breakfast can be
what's your breakfast of champions?
We do like potatoes and onions fried up, and over easy eggs with toast and jelly on it. And I actually have a picture which I wish I had on my computer. It's only on my phone. Adina and I went out to eat. We never ever go out to eat breakfast. We go other places for lunch or dinner, but never for breakfast. And one morning I said, okay, we're going to go to Waffle House. And we're at Waffle House. We sit down, we get the menu, and literally, Sandy, literally, our table did not have a square inch that didn't have food on it somewhere. And we don't ever eat that way. Never. But that morning, we had steak, eggs, we had waffles, we had grits. I mean, you name that, and that table, if I could show you this picture, that picture would say breakfast food.
So what's for breakfast? If you can have steak, people have chicken fried steak, you can have anything for breakfast. Yeah. My breakfast is usually no breakfast. And if it is breakfast, sometimes it's a banana. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, it'll be oatmeal. But now John, if John could have breakfast at least once a day, if not twice a day, he would. And he loves anything with sweet. So cinnamon rolls, waffles, pancakes, French toast. That's John's thing. Early in the morning, I can't do that.
Yeah. Anything that grows, right?
Yeah.
Well, it had to grow at one point in time for it to become food, right?
Yeah.
You see her brain working right now. Let's see, what am I eating that didn't grow? You know, that kind of thing. But at one point in time, it had to grow somewhere, somehow. So, okay. Number 14. A $4 box of wine is no longer pretty good stuff. I don't know. I don't know if I would say that or not. I mean, like a $4 bottle of wine may not be pretty good stuff, but maybe a $4 box of wine. I don't know. It depends on, is there anything else to drink in the house?
Water.
Water. Well, it's whatever like that. So now I can put my picture back up. I had to take the picture down because of growing more of it.
I love it that you put it up cricket.
It's because of what it is. You can't hang a picture that is like that. You can't hang that straight. Come on. If you hang that straight, then there you go. See, that's just got to be hung like. Welcome to my world. Okay. I don't know that I've ever had a $4 box of wine, so I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know how much those boxes of wine cost. That I don't know. They're more than $4.
Making fun of people who have boxed wine before. When I found this on the internet, it actually said bottle, but I put box in there because I've heard people make fun of those who drink boxed wine. So I changed it up.
So. Well, you notice I changed it back.
You did.
I didn't even know you changed it, and I changed it back anyway. So who knows? Whatever. All right, number 13. By the way, that last part of the show, if you're not Messianic, you probably didn't want to hear that last part. Okay. Now that if you're Messianic, then hey, it's just common stuff. So. Number 13, you go to the drugstore for ibuprofen and antacid instead of other things. What's that got to do with doing that?
Well, I'm not saying a word. Why would young people go to the drugstore?
Yeah, well, okay, let's at this point we need to define and put a dividing line on what is not grown up and what is grown up. When does that age end, and what difference does it make? Let's just say you're 18. And 18 means up till you're 18, you're not grown up, and then after that, you are. Because I can tell you a lot of under 18s that need both antacid and ibuprofen. So.
An 18-year-old is still a baby. I think, personally, they're still a child.
Well, no, not according to the government. And
the government is dumb.
Well, not according to a lot of state laws, So what are you going to do with that? See?
Well,
you got to abide by the law.
The consequent side of the brain doesn't even begin to stop forming till you're 25. That's why we have so many young people that don't know. You're at least 25 to 27 years old before the consequent side of the brain fully forms. So they make poor decisions. I'm sorry, you can't be an adult when you don't understand the consequences yet. Officially you are, but you're still a kid, in my opinion. Yep.
Okay. I didn't hear a word you just said, but because I wasn't paying attention because I was thinking something. No. Okay. Now, see, I had thought about bringing this up this week, but now that you've opened the door, when you're doing a live broadcast, there's a lot of things that maybe you don't say until somebody opens that door. It's like being in a court of law. When you're on the stand, if you don't bring something up, then the prosecuting attorney can't open that door. But as soon as the person being interviewed on the stand opens this, it says something, it now opens the door where everybody can talk about that. So now that you've opened that door, this is something that I think is very interesting, and somebody may argue the point at which and the point at which. But I learned a couple of weeks ago, and I understand this is true, that every cell in our body actually regenerates every 5 years. Do you know anything about? Have you heard that? Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
So basically, every cell in our body regenerates. So 5 years from now, I will no longer be the same person that I am right now. Is that not right?
I guess technically you could look at it that way.
All right. Let me give you if you're real interested, and it really is. Of course, once again, we watch TV and we watch movies. Some of you don't, and if you don't, then click it off right now and then bring it back up when I'm done. But if you have, we just got access to Amazon Prime not very, a while back, and I found a show called Fortitude. Have you heard of this, Sandy?
No.
Okay, this is great, and it really is great. The most northernmost town on this planet Earth, this planet right here. It's not. It's not up now. This planet is the northernmost town is called Fortitude, and it is actually on an island. It's on land, but it's really a glacier. And there's an entire town of about 800 people, and it's called Fortitude. Now, they made a show. It's like a mini-series. It's not a mini-series. It's a show. It's got like 10 episodes, 10 or 12 episodes to it. But here's a couple of different things about this that I think is real interesting. Is that are you taking a phone call? You got to go. She had to deal with something beforehand, so she's probably doing it. So I'm telling you guys, this town of Fortitude, because of where it is, I think it's a part of maybe northern Canada, though it is under British rule, and they have their own governor and the whole thing. Is that you're not allowed to die there. Hey, John, how you doing, man? Come on in. And
Hey, good morning.
What's up?
We had to switch places here.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Sandy got a very, very important phone call all of a sudden from someone we haven't talked to in a long time.
Okay, very good. So at any point in time, you're welcome to join the show. So you don't ever have to be in the other room. Anyway, are you here for a little bit until she's done?
I am. I'm filling in, I guess, for.
Okay, so here, and I'll do a real quick recap. But there's a show that I just watched the first season of, going into the second season, and it's a show on Amazon Prime called Fortitude. And what I guess it is there is a town. It's the most northern town on planet Earth. And it is in the northern part, I'm pretty sure, of Canada, called Fortitude. And there's about 800 people. It is under, I want to say it's part of Canada, but it's under British rule. And they have their own governor and their own law enforcement, though, because of where it is, and it's actually on an island, but it's a glacier island. It's land, but it's glacier. Is this it snows 24/7, 365. It's always cold, but it's a regular town. And so anyway, this town, because it's frozen all the time, you're not actually allowed to die there because they can't bury you. They actually had people years ago that died of a plague. They buried them, and the plague is still alive under the ice because the people are frozen. They don't decay because they're not in the ground. And so they don't allow people to die there. They have to ship them off to die if they're whatever the deal is. But anyway, this show is very interesting because they've had their first murder. And so they have to deal with this, and they have a police department. But anyway, so they bring in a British, or the British send in their guy to investigate the murder, because the police department never has to deal with crime or anything like that. It just doesn't happen up there. And so with this murder having happened, the British intelligence guy is interviewing this woman that lives in Fortitude that they believe might have committed the murder, but she had actually been convicted and spent time in prison of another crime several years back, like 7-8 years ago. She had been convicted of another crime, did her time, left there, came to Fortitude, and now she's living in Fortitude. So they're interviewing her and asking her about her previous crime, and she's going, no, that wasn't me, because the cells in our body regenerate every 5 years. 5 years ago I was that person, but right now I'm not that person.
Yeah, that's weird.
She even changed her name because she's no longer that person. So she didn't commit that crime.
Oh no.
Okay. I mean, so there we go. Every 5 years, we can say, oh well, I'm really not that person. I mean, we could actually change our name every 5 years or whatever we want to do, because we're not that same person anymore. What do you think of that?
That's really weird. That our body does change in 5 years, and I don't know what the cycle is, but all of our cells die and they're replaced, but we still look the same.
Yeah,
I still have the same hairline.
Well, I mean, what about brain cells? What about, because that's really who we are as brain cells. So
right.
If our brain cells are regenerated every 5 years, then are we really the same person we were 6 years ago?
And that really comes back down to the nefesh. It's that soul. It's our mind, will, and emotions that's stuck within this body. So how do you get around that?
I don't know. I'm just bringing the subject. Anyway, I thought it was real interesting. You should, if you watch the show, look at the look on this guy's face that's interviewing the woman, because she's 100% serious. I mean, that's not me.
So does she have no memories of the?
Yeah, she does. She has the memories of it. She knows that that was the person that committed the crime, and that was the person that did it. But because my cells have regenerated,
I'm a different. Oh my goodness! You know, and the thing of that is that probably someone might try to put that as their defense. In reality,
he might. All right. Hey, John Craig, everybody. That's good to have you here. Okay, so we're done with the show today. We had Brian Barnes earlier. How long have you been around?
how long have I been here?
Yeah, how long have you been around?
Well, I've been around almost 55 years, but
There you go.
this morning I just walked into the room because I've been busy, and so I was recruited very quickly. So when you saw me, that's when I showed up on the scene.
You're recruited, not regenerated.
I am not regenerated. I'm still the same person.
You are. Not
I just
5
look
years
different.
ago.
Now, 5 years ago, my hairline might have been different.
There were different cells in your body. They are no longer there. So okay, well,
I'm bending, Mark. It's I'm trying to get my brain untwisted from all that. Okay.
okay, good. Well,
Maybe I'll have to watch the show.
what's that?
I might have to watch the show.
Well, go back and watch it. We actually had Brian Barnes from Growing in Torah on the first part of it, but his internet was so bad we were wasting more time waiting on him to regenerate. and it didn't work, so we lost him. And Sandy and I are going to go. We're going through the top 16 of you're grown up when, and we were on number 13. So, number 13. So we'll pick it up later. But anyway, I had a trivia question that I was saying that you should know, and I can't remember what it was now that I mentioned. So yeah, you need to go back and watch the beginning of the show because there's a trivia question in there for you, and I can't think of what it was now. So anyway,
Okay.
But we had Brian on most of the show, and we never did get to talk about squid and catfish. That was one of the topics we were going to talk about today. Unless you have anything you need to share, if it's just vital that you share with us about squid and catfish.
I just think gross. I mean, I've eaten catfish one time in my life,
okay,
and that was many years ago, and it did not make an impact with me. And then squid, no, that's just really freaky anyway. So.
Well, the squid though, because squid can become a kraken if it gets really, really big like that. See, now it's a kraken, and so whenever your kraken gets onto your ship of life like that, see, then you take the kraken and you slam it down like that, and then so now you've released the kraken, and now if you release the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach can come in and slam the kraken.
Oh, there you go. All right, so release the inner kraken.
Whatever kraken there is out there. See, Sandy was on a phone call before the show, and she was all upset, and it's like, okay, the phone call with the kraken. Release the Holy Spirit against the kraken.
There you go. Yeah.
And the only other topic we were going to talk about, I guess we'll have to take it tonight. To next week is white people. We were going to talk about white people on this show. So
okay.
If there's anything that you want to bring up about white people or anything, we can do that before we go.
Well, very, very good. I don't know if there's really a true white person out there. I mean, we're so mixed. So
really, so what do you think of albinos then?
That's really white. Yeah. But still, that is pigmentation. And again, what's the big deal? Because it's not about the color of our skin, but the content of our character, right?
I don't know.
Why all the divisiveness in the nation? Saying, we're looking at the pigmentation again. What's up with that? Or are we talking about the content of character that people don't want in our nation anymore? I don't know.
Why? There's no reason to bring pigs into this, but I mean, all we were talking about is white people. But
okay,
there's a lot of white pigs out there. I mean, we could do
Okay.
that. We're going to have to do that next week.
All right, that's a cliffhanger.
If you would like to join us next week to talk about pigs and white people, I mean, we can make that a topic too, right along with it. Pigs, right. White people, squid, and catfish.
There you go.
We can talk about all four of them separately, individually, or all in one subject. It makes a difference to me. So.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't know if you knew that Sandy and I do shows like this where, we have topics like this or not. But,
I was very much aware.
Oh, you are aware. Okay, good.
Yep.
So, and we will also finish up our, you're grown up when. I don't know if it's a survey or it's just something she wrote. She changes things on me, and I don't know what those things are. But anyway, we're out of here. This is this is a done deal for today. Thank you for filling in for Sandy. It's my only problem is, see, it's not really a joke now, but when I can end off and say, okay, this is Sandy Craig, I'm Mark David Smith, I'm the one with the hair. See, it doesn't work as a joke now with you being on. It's kind of an interesting joke when I say it with Sandy sitting there, because we're both like I'm not as someday I'm going to get mine all curled up like Sandy, and then you won't be able to tell us apart. If my hair's got a whole bunch of curls in it and everything, and people are going to come on here and say, which one's Sandy? They both look exactly alike. What's the deal?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell her that she's not growing a beard.
Okay.
That way you'll know. You'll know the difference.
I don't know what that has to do with it. I'm the one with the hair. That's all. Yeah. See, now I say that, and they go, oh, okay. He's the one with the hair because John has the hair. So. What I have to put up with just to do a radio show, I'm telling you.
I love it. It's great.
Okay, tell Sandy that I hope everything works out okay with her, and release the Kraken. That's
release the Kraken.
We want to release the Kraken. Everybody release the Kraken, and we'll see y'all next week. And so, Father, we love you. We adore you. We thank you, Father, that we can come boldly before your throne and love you, worship you, and you be our God and we be your people. We thank you for it, Father. Watch over Lamb Radio and all the producers and all of the shows, Father, and we give it over to you. Hashem Yeshua, Baruch Hashem. Remember, everybody, to be excellent to each other. And so I don't have a remote, or a song, so I'm going to end off with this. There you go. Looky there, it's planet Earth. Ta-ta, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Watch Lamb Tube. Thanks, John, for filling in. Appreciate it, bro.
Hey, my pleasure. It was great. Thanks, Mark.
All right. God bless. All right.